Hi everyone. For today's book review, we are back on the high seas, and we will be looking at this impressive and very heavy book called From Ironclads to Dreadnoughts: The Development of the German Battleship from 1864 through to 1918, co-written by Dirk Nottelman and David Sullivan. Even though this book is softcover, it is printed on thick, glossy paper, which is why when you hold it, it is quite substantial and fitting as well, considering the subject matter. There's been plenty published about how the British Royal Navy embraced or fought, depending on your interpretation, the advances put forward by the Industrial Revolution and how their navy transitioned from the wooden walls through to their pre-dreadnoughts and through until their World War I battle fleet. This book covers essentially the same time period, but looking at the German experience and German designers and admirals and their attempts at providing solutions to the same questions. How do you create a modern naval battle fleet? And what it is interesting with the German case is that this book begins in 1864. Well, there was no modern Germany in 1864. That only came about in 1870, 1871. So then how do you unify the strategies of various states with their own navies and their own strategies into one national grand strategy? And then once that is accomplished, how then do you build a fleet that accommodate the constantly changing needs of your new country and then the new world order? Because between 1870 through to 1914 you had the rapid imperial expansion where the world was inconveniently cut up and became imperial possessions of the European empires. Each class has its own chapter, and the layout is essentially the same. We have an overall discussion of the considerations that led to this class being designed and built. We then have a brief overview of the life of each ship of the class, and there is an extensive photo history of the various ships. The quality of diagrams varies between classes, and even the author himself has noted that he was quite frustrated at the lack of surviving information regarding some of the early ships and the early classes. But what has survived still presents enough information for us to reference. The various battleship classes are then covered from the 1860s right through until the Baden/Bayern entered service, and it even covers the Sachsen class that were built but obviously never entered service. And there's a wonderful chapter in the appendices about the German analysis of one of the Russian dreadnoughts that they ended up acquiring at the very end of the First World War when Russia surrendered. If you are interested in the history of the Imperial German Navy and the vessels that came just prior to that, this is a goldmine of information. And while the German battle fleet is relatively well covered, the ships that came before them aren't so much. And again, information about how the fleet came about, what were the considerations, and what were the solutions to the various problems involved are discussed here, and that is what makes this book fascinating. Some reviews have been less than complimentary, but it comes down to what you are interested in and what you want to get out of this book. I love the information. I love the fact that this was sourced from German sources, German archives, written by someone who was intimately familiar with the Navy. And in addition to that, having so much information illustrated in exceptionally clear photos and diagrams, layouts, you name it. You can see these up here in the corner of the various ships. For me, that was the main point. It is a tad pricey, so depending on how much you're willing to pay, do a bit more research. Again, if you want detailed information about the development of the German Navy, then this is a good, sturdy reference guide, and the photos are quite incredible. You will get information and photos that you rarely get to see in other publications, and this is the standout for this. And so for me, this would be a 4 captain's hats.